Okay, so today we're going to have just a small talk on or a guide on how to screen studies or use the abstrackr. Just a brief, abstrackr is a free tool developed by researchers or faculty at Brown University, and it's free for use. It's very easy and simple website to screen studies. It does not have other roles. There are other websites that can do other things like screen and extract. Like in Hadeel website is simple to only a screening method. As I said, it's free, but you just have to cite it. And on their website, it tells you the proper citation. That's the only thing they request is you cite their website when you publish your manuscript. So there are two main ways, I think, of using the abstracr, either as a project lead or leading a project, or a member of a project, or being, of course, a lead and also a member. So leading a project, you're going to create the project, add the studies in the abstracr, and then you're going to share it with other people so they can screen it. Or you can just be a member who receives a link or receives an email to start screening, but not a project lead. So we're going to start like how we're going to create a project abstracr, and how you're going to distribute the abstract to your colleagues. First, you need to prepare the export study. So now let's say you finished your search and Medline, Ovid, whatever, and you got an Excel file. Usually you export your studies that you searched. You need to prepare this sheet or Excel sheet and make it suitable for abstracr. So usually the exported studies come in Excel sheet format. You need to do the following before any uploading the file. You need to have three columns mostly: ID of the study, title, and the abstract. Three information you need for each study. That's it. Additional column can be added, but it's not necessary. It's irrelevant. And you have to save the file in tab.dot format. And I screenshotted my computer to show you this is how a file would look like after searching Ovid. You export the studies. This is what you get usually. So you get a file that has some information. When you export the file in Ovid, and I think we can do that in another presentation, you can have the option of what do you want to export: abstract, title, and it's the Ovid number. Did you use, what's the VN, what's the database, Embase or Medline? TI refers to the title, AU author, AB abstract. This is the URL, the website, and the library link. So these are information you can request more or less from Ovid when you extract. But the most really important information is just an ID number, whatever is the ID number, just a unique number for each study. And you need the title, and you need the abstract. You can add extra information, have it as extra, but that's what you need for abstracr are only these three elements. This one, the ID, the title, and the abstract. So this is the file you get before, let's say, before cleaning it for abstracr. This is what you just get simply from, say, tell Ovid to export. This is what Ovid will give you. You need to do some cleaning. You're going to delete this extra here raw. You don't need it. And then you're going to have a file that looks like this. You deleted the elements you don't need. You kept the ID number, and you have to title it like ID. You kept the title, but you changed. We have to write it as a title. And you kept the abstract, but the heading changed to the word abstract. And I added authors. It's not important. It will not make it. Just it will put the author's name, but it's not that important. The most you need ID, title, and abstract. And once this is now you cleaned your your sheet. So you're not going to change anything in the studies, just the title. You're just going to change the column name. That's it. And then you're going to save it as a text tab delimited file, this format. Just save as this format, that's it. And now the file will be ready to be uploaded in abstracr. I'm going to show you now. I'm going to head to abstracr, and I'm going to show you how to upload the project. So I have it open here. So you can register in abstracr. It's free for use. Sometimes some emails, university email doesn't work. So you need to use your Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo, whatever other email you're using. So this is my username and password. I already have a username and password. I'm gonna just log in. So once I log in, because I have other, if this is your first time, this will be an empty. You're just gonna have these 3 things here, but this will be all empty. But these are the projects I have done or worked with or been working on in the past few years in abstrackr. So this is my work and then my project. So let's say I want to create a project. So I'll go to my project. And this is the projects that I have created in the past. I don't want them. I want to create here. I got at the end and I say, start a new project. You get this page, you can name your project, whatever. Let's say I'm gonna say 2, because I already have one. So I can name it, and I named it COVID thromboprophylaxis. And I can describe the project. I say this is a systematic review and meta-analyses on XX, whatever. I can add whatever information I feel is important for me. For the people who receive the project to know what's this project. We should all know the project. So this is not important. You can keep it empty. So this is not really important. You can keep it empty. If you just want to add in a description to remember, sometimes I say this screening started on August 24th, 2020. Sometimes I just want to add the information. When did I start? I'd like to keep track of the things with the timing of things. And then I choose the file. So here I choose the file I just cleaned. If you're not sure how to upload a file, you can go to help here and it shows you how to do it. So I learned the process from there. But anyways, I just showed you how you would clean your Excel and prepare it be imported here. So I would choose my file. So this is the file I already worked on. We saw, and I say, okay, open the file. And then it asks me, do you want the studies to be double screen or single screen? Usually, I never worked in a project with single screen, so it's usually double screening. Do you want to change how the order it is? Most likely to be relevant or random. It's already random, so it doesn't matter if I change it. When we got it from Ovid, most likely it's going to be random. So it doesn't matter. Whatever you choose, this option or this option does not change anything. You want to do a pilot, so we can do a pilot because maybe this is our first time. We want to do a pilot. And we can say like, I want to try 10 first. Or you can do without a pilot and go ahead and start immediately. You can make it private or public. I usually keep it private because we're not sharing the project at this stage with anyone. So always keep it private. And then you say, create my new review. Let's press admin. You should be able to invite people here. So that's the step that we're getting error. I'm reaching this stage from another way. I'll try to do it again, but maybe it will work. But you can start here once you have a project, you can go as an admin. And you can add people's email or send them a link. That's the link I sent you, for instance, for our project. I sent you a link or invite them via email. Whatever it works, you can just add their emails. And between them, you have a comma or a semicolon between the emails, so you can add multiple emails together. You can manage assignments and say, I'm going to assign this number to this number of people or due date. I usually don't do that. I just enough to add their emails, and it will automatically be divided on us. So let's say we're 4 people working on this, and I said double screening. So if I'm fast and I screened everything in one day, so I'll be the one screening, let's say, for example, all the 200 abstract. And the 3 other people will be doing double screening for my 200. So the 200 again will be divided on the 3. So it's automatically divided for you. Don't need to do it. It's just, we'll do double screening. So it would require each abstract to be screened by 2 people at least. Doesn't matter who are these 2 people, unless you are very specific. Let's say you have students and you want to make sure like your students get equal number of studies to review and screen. So you want to divide them equally on your students. So make sure like not one student who is or intern who's much more enthusiastic can finish more studies, can screen quickly and finish all the studies for one reviewer because like she's doing it quickly or he's doing it quickly. So unless that scenario, you do not need to manage assignments. You just need to add people. That will be enough for our project. And then once you have that, once you add people, you go to your home, and then you look for your study, what's the review you're working on. So for example, this is the review I sent you. So this is how it will show. So if this is your first time to have an abstrackr, so this will, this project will show for you, and it starts, you can review labels. We did not label in a study, so we didn't start screening, or you can start screening. So for us, we're gonna start the screening process. And this is how you get the studies. This is the title. Doesn't have a journal because you remember in the Excel, I didn't put a journal name. I can put, but I didn't export a journal name from the of it, and it's not necessary. But I have the authors and I have the abstract. So this is the stage that I screen, the title and abstract. So I can read the first, the title usually, incidence, risk factors and timing of macrovascular thrombosis in the post-COVID-19 elderly and assessing the need and duration of extended thromboprophylaxis prospective study. So I would go over the study and I would read it to make sure it's eligible according to our eligibility criteria, our PICO criteria. Is it the same population, the same intervention? Is it the same patients? Are they COVID patients, hospitalized, but not in the ICU? So I would look into the abstract, read it, and make a decision based on my inclusion-exclusion criteria. So whatever your inclusion-exclusion criteria is, you compare it with the title and abstract. Let's say you say, I'm not sure if I want to include this abstract. I'm going to go and look for the paper and come back to abstracr. That's not the way to do it. At this stage, we're only screening the title and abstract. So if you feel the information here is not sufficient to say no, then you would say yes. You say, yes, I would include it. Or you can say maybe. But you don't waste your time and go search for study. There's a next step that's called full text screening. We're going to screen the studies that we think might be included, but we're not sure. But so don't waste your time. And it's not just wasting the time. This is wrong because some people do it. Some people at this stage, whenever they're not sure, they go and read the paper exactly and see, okay, is this to be included or not? This is a mistake. Why? When you do the Prisma flow diagram, which is a requirement for a standard for publishing meta-analysis, there's a flow diagram that says how many studies you screen in the first stage and in the second stage after the abstract. So if you went and checked the full text at the same time, you missed a stage in the systematic review process. And then you will have no studies for the full text screening because you already made sure at this stage everything is in or out. And that's not the correct way to do it. You should just simply screen what's in front of you. Let's say, for instance, you don't get an abstract. Sometimes you only get a title. There's no abstract. Like sometimes, we open PubMed and there is no abstract, only title. In that scenario, if the title you think the study is eligible, you would include it. So don't exclude unless you say, no, I'm for sure this should not be included. Don't go and look for the paper itself. Just make this information sufficient for you at this time to say yes or no based on title and abstract. And then based on that, I can say yes or no or maybe. Once I make a decision, let's say I say yes, for example, it's going to go through our poll of just going to go automatically in the website, be stored as Hadeel said yes for this study. So this study has been screened by one person. It will need to go through another person who opened the link and start screening. There are some things that can help you or assist you when you screen. For instance, let's say we don't want any animal research. So we say, if you find the word animal, I want 2 thumbs down. Okay, there's no word animal here, but what does it tell you? If it's 2 thumbs down, it gives animal a red color, the word animal. So when you see it, you say, oh, I'm not interested. So it makes it easier for your eyes to review. Let's say it's very important for me, the word thromboprophylaxis, very vital for my search. So I say it's for to be included, has to be on thromboprophylaxis. So I say, if you see the word thromboprophylaxis, I want 2 thumbs up. This is a very important word. So yes, I see it, it's coloring it for me. So it's telling me this is on thromboprophylaxis. let's say I want to see the word critical. I want to see it. So we want to see it maybe as not necessarily a good thing because we want non-critical. So I put 1 thumbs down, and it can color for me if it finds the word critical. There's nothing on critical. So it can be a coloring tool to help you easier see the studies or the information you don't need or you need, but does not, you can use the screening without coloring anything. Usually I just color the things that I know I will exclude. Let's say review article. So I know easily, so I just put it. So whenever I see the word review, automatically I exclude the studies. I color the word case reports because I'm not going to include case report, for instance. You can tag the studies. I barely use this, but you can tag the study. You can say, okay, this study, I see it that it's on mild patients. So I can tag it here and say mild cases or mild COVID. So I can then use this tag again for other studies, but it's not important, just additional if you want, if you're interested in tagging or labeling some of the projects, but it's not relevant. So this is how basically really this whole abstrackr, this is how you upload, and then this is how you start a screening. So you can say, I'm going to say yes because I didn't go through it thoroughly. So and I can go back and review them because so now this is the other project study, and there is no thromboprophylaxis. So maybe I'm not interested in this. I'm not sure. I need to read it. But it seems like it has critical disease. So maybe they are ICU patients. So I can start reading the abstract and making the decision. How long it should take to read an abstract? Usually not more than a minute, or depends on sometimes even half a minute. 2 minutes if it's a very difficult abstract to understand, 2 or 3 minutes, but should take between an average of 1 minute to go through an abstract and decide if you want to include it. That's why I say, don't waste your time. If you feel like you don't know, just say yes or maybe. Don't waste your time and search for it for full text. We will do that in another phase, in the next phase. This phase, we should do it quickly and easily. Title abstract, include or not to include. And then based on that, like, for example, I'm going to read the study to see if I want to make a decision for our project. So the objective was COVID treatment guideline rapidly evolving during the pandemic. And then evaluated how medications for children hospitalized with COVID changed after guideline publication. So obviously from the title, from the aim, this is not something we're interested in. How the children hospitalization with COVID change their medication does not matter, but you can just go through to make sure, like, what did they compare medication use before and after December? It's irrelevant. So this is obviously a study that we are not interested in. So I will just put an X. And then this is another study that we can look into, a systematic assessment of venous thromboembolism in COVID-19 patients receiving thromboprophylaxis, incidence and role of D-dimer as predictive factors. This might be of interest, so we can read it in more detail to decide whether to include or not. So this is really how to use abstrackr in the 2 phases, in the uploading a project, and then this is how you screen. It's a very simple, really a simple website to go through. The screening, as I said, was really easy. My advice is, if you feel confused, you can open the website. The help page is very simple, has simple instructions on how to use the website. I'm gonna maybe stop the recording and we can ask some questions. I think my screen is showing now. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and press on the project title. Anyone can see if how far you got along in the project. So it tells you, this is the project description that I added initially, and the progress 3 out of 223 were labeled. Labeled by, it tells you the person that was labeled by. I'm gonna hide this. So it was labeled by this one person, by me, Hadeel, and then the more people you have, you're gonna have their names and how many studies they reviewed. So it can give you a guide and tells you how far along you are. Hopefully in such screening only have 223 papers. This should not take long, a day, or it should take a day or 2, depending on how many people you have. So the more people you have, So if it's double screening, so each person will screen 223 papers or abstract. So if we are 4 people, each will screen about 110 or 111. So you get, the more people you get, the less, of course, screening you have. So now you say you want to look at your project at the end. You're done and you want to see exported. Before exporting it, it has to be done, of course, by the project lead and at this stage. The thing you need to do first is start to check the conflict. If there are any conflicts between the reviewers who screened the abstract. So for instance, for this project, it says I have some conflict. So I'm going to press on the conflict. It's not showing conflicts. That means probably because of the project has no conflicts. These are done projects. So trying to find something that might, okay, let's see, this one has some conflicts. Change. Ours doesn't have any conflicts because only I screen, so it's not double screening. I'm sure I have one that has conflicts. Okay, so this one should have conflicts. Okay, so when you press on conflicts, it shows you that these abstract that were, someone said yes and someone said no. You can tell from here, said for this project, Hadeel Alkofide labeled it as relevant, while B, the other person labeled it as maybe. So the project lead or the more expert in the field will need to review this to say, okay, do they think this is relevant or not? And let's say I think this is relevant, so my decision now will be the final decision. And you can see that there is 125 studies that are conflict. So I can review this and say, okay, yes or no. Is there any, okay, for example, for this one, I can choose reading it quickly. Yes, I want it. And then you keep getting the other studies and so on. So you will need to do this stage before you export to make sure that each study have one definite answer, yes or no. There should not be conflicts when you export. It should be resolve all conflicts at that stage. So once you resolve all conflicts, you go to your project that's done and you can export the studies. So we'll go to, you can say export, and it tells you like, how do you want to export it? You usually use a CSV. CSV is similar to an Excel file. And then it tells you like it's going to export this information, press export, download your export. So this is the Excel sheet that I got from abstrackr after I exported it. These are the هذه basic information حق الستديز، ما في شيء تغير. اللي تغير هنا الكونسنسس. الآن it's giving you a new information. What's your consensus? What's your decision on these papers? هيبدأ بالماينس 1 لل1. أنا عادة أنا أبغى ما أبغى الماينس 1. الماينس 1 هو اللي ما أبغاهم. So I sort them by the from the largest to smallest because I want to start with the ones or the ones I included. So should start from 1, بس في أشياء تطلع لها 0 or O. So these studies, most people who reviewed gave it a maybe. For instance, this study was reviewed by 3 people for some reason, I don't know how, but it was reviewed by 3 people. 2 people said the maybe. One said -1, here 2 maybe, and 1 -1. So it still gave us like no consensus. There's no consensus on these studies. These were from the same project. It seemed there was, although you remove duplicates, sometimes you still get duplicates, even if you remove them in the screening. So I can review them easily at this stage and say, I want them, let's say I want them, I say, yes, I want them, and then they will be labeled as one. Anything that's fun is the things I want right now. that I thought they're eligible from the full text, from the abstract screening. And now all of these are eligible for full text screening. So out of the 1,700 studies that we screened here, abstract, we got 18 possible eligible. And for these 18, we reviewed the full text papers and then decided to include them yes or no. So this Excel will go to the next stage of full text screening. So you would open the manuscript for each of these papers. You would go look at the paper, open the manuscript and read it, and then decide, okay, yes, for sure I want this study or I want to remove it. الستيج هذه في شيء مرة مهم. الآن in this stage, you need to say, if you're going to say no, you need to say why you said no. So let's say هنا, I'm going to just delete الأشياء اللي ما أبغاها. It's like I'm making my Excel now ready for the next stage. And then I'm going to say here, we're going to do full text screening. And then this can be done by, let's say, me, Khaled, Hala, or how many people are. And then these are any, we can look at the final decision, for example. So it doesn't need the 4 people to look at the full text. 2 people need to be doing it. So let's say for the first 10, it's going to be me and Dr. Khaled. For the second 10, it's going to be Dr. Hala, Dr. Ahoud, for instance. These are about 20 studies. So and then I open the full text for this paper. I would search it online, open it, and read it. If it's not accessible, I would write here, note, not accessible. Because I need to know why I didn't. And then let's say I open this full text and I say, no, the study should not be included. You should give me a reason why you said that. So usually next to each person name, there is a column that says why. So I say, if no, why? So I can say, for instance, not intervention of interest. Usually these are the kind of words we use, or not outcome of interest. It could be a duplicate paper. It could be a review article. So whatever reason, at this stage, you need to give me, so anything that's going to be a no here, there has to be a reason why it's a no. So this is the full text screening. If it's a yes, you don't need any reason to say it's yes. So it's included in your meta-analysis. So anything at the end, and then the final decision here, and let's say these, Dr. Khaled say yes, and then he said no, similar to me. So, and the one that I said yes and he said no, or the opposite, we'll review it together and make a decision whether we include it or not. Usually at this stage, the chances of getting conflict are much, much less, because there are less studies, and we're trying, and we have the full text. So we should be very easier for us to make the decision because the full text is with us. It's not like the abstract don't have all the information. And then the final decision, let's say yes, include. If no, then put your consensus on the answer here and not outcome of interest, for instance, and so on. So the yes will be the ones you're going to include in your meta-analyses. And then you're going to take them for the next stage, which is data extraction, using an extraction sheet, depending on the information you need to extract from the studies. I guess we can do that in another meeting.